the two communist agents hacked the Department of Energy. They hacked NASA. They stole Social Security numbers, the dates of birth for more than 100,000 U.S. Navy personnel. This comes after China had agreed to end state-sponsored cyber attacks for economic gain, as they styled it in 2015. A holdover from the Obama era. The Trump era means that they will enforce agreements and enforce laws and, yes, act in the national interest. Joining me tonight is Dean Cheng. He is Senior Research Fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Asian Studies Center. Dean, great to have you with us. Morgan Wright, former Senior Advisor in the State Department's Anti-Terrorism Assistance Program, former Law Enforcement Advisor to the Republican National Committee, cybersecurity expert. Good to have you with us, Morgan. Thank you.
Hi, Lou.
How you doing? Dean, let's start with who knew we had foreign agents at work in our society stealing our technology, our intellectual property, or that we had Chinese, communist Chinese spies everywhere collecting as much as they possibly could of our IP and technology and stealing it to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars every year.
Well, if we didn't know about it, then there's been a catastrophic failure in our intelligence organizations and our law enforcement organizations. The reality is, of course, that this has been common knowledge among cybersecurity specialists, law enforcement, et cetera. The problem has been trying to...
I've been reporting on it for 20 years, Dean. 20 years. 3,500 front companies from communist China operating for the specific purpose of stealing those hundreds of billions, and neither a Republican nor Democratic presidential administrations did a damn thing about it.
Until now.
Until now.
What is striking is that we are seeing an across-the-board set of efforts. We have these two people. We had recently an arrest in Belgium, extradited to the United States, a member of the Chinese Ministry of State Security at the provincial level who was stealing secrets from Boeing. We are finally doing something to say to the Chinese, when we have an agreement that you're not going to engage in economic cyber espionage.
We have an independent sovereign nation. And Morgan, it says right there, by golly, if we really want to pay attention to it, that we should be able to defend this nation against cyber attacks, against cyber espionage, hacking. And meanwhile, you know, because Dean is right, of course, the Obama administration felt we had to have a little agreement about the fact, please, China, don't steal from us. This would offend our sensibilities. Hell, we should... I can't understand why we wouldn't go to war over this kind of monstrous theft.
Well, you know, Lou, I've talked about this before. In fact, I've got an article coming out in The Hill this Sunday talking exactly about Huawei and how the rules have changed. Look, in World War I, we found out the bad effects of mustard gas. So we said, we're not going to do that anymore. Chemical weapon warfare, cluster bombs. There are norms of warfare. Well, there's norms of warfare in cyberspace, too, and the Chinese are violating every single one of them. In fact, you know, we can keep indicting all the people we want, but what it's going to take is the pen is truly mightier than the sword. When you arrest the CFO of Huawei, who happens to be, I think, the niece of the founder, and we start taking action, we make it difficult for these people to travel. HSBC now says they will no longer underwrite and help
banks
Huawei
are actually stepping up here against Huawei,
It's too
ZTE.
risky. Absolutely.
But here's, I don't frankly understand this. Absent casualties, and that is killed and wounded, this is no different than Pearl Harbor. I mean, we are watching the destruction of hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars every year.
Yep. Well, look, it's a philosophical question of...
No, this isn't a philosophical. It's for Dean.
It is.
And I want
bits
him
and
to
bytes, bombs and bullets.
No, it's more than philosophy, because while you are talking about money, we're also talking about jobs. We're talking about companies. How many companies have gone out of business because they have found that their intellectual property was being sold by Chinese before they themselves could bring it to market? How many patents are now being filed by the Chinese before their rightful, actual creators can file for patent protection?
We're out of time. We're way over time in point of fact. Morgan, let me ask you this very simply. Why would we put up with this over so many administrations? Why did it take President Trump to say, hell no, no more?
You know, it's been the economic issues. It's been China's power of their owning our debt. We've been kowtowing for them too long because we were worried about what might happen, what if. I think we're past the what if. Now we know what's going to happen. You arrest a few people, you start making it difficult to do business, you put the crimp on China's expansion plans in their pocketbook, and you start getting their attention finally.
Yeah, well, we'll find out if we get their attention,
right.
Because this is, without question, war.